Hey there, this is a video walkthrough of how to use the Dissolve tool in ArcGIS Online to do summary statistics with vector data. And in this case, particularly what we're going to do is we're going to take this vector layer, which is census tracts that are showing heat clusters in the Atlanta metro area. If we look at the legend here, if we look at the legend here, we'll see there's clusters 1, 2, 3, and 4 from coolest to hottest. This is based on MODIS data. And what we want to do is take this census tract level data and dissolve it so we only have one polygon for all the 1 areas, one for the 2, one for the 3, and one for the 4. All right. So we can see those day clusters there. We can see here's these census tracts. There's 951 of them in the Atlanta metro area. And at the very end here, we have these cluster night and cluster day variables. We also have night clusters. We're not going to use those in this analysis. So how do we do that dissolve? And then we're also going to sum up, we're also going to sum up these two fields right here, the land area and water area for each of those 4 clusters. So we're going to sum those fields. When we dissolve them, we're going to add all those values together for each of the areas, each of those 4 areas. So let's talk about how we do that. First is we go under Analysis, and we go under Manage Data, and you'll see Dissolve Boundaries. Go ahead and click on that. We're going to choose the Day Clusters layer, and we want to choose areas with the same field value. And we'll scroll down and click on that cluster day variable. And we got to check there. So that will dissolve this, so we'll end up with only 4 areas based on which of those 4 clusters that it's in. You can leave create multi-part features on. To sum up these land and water variables, we just have to add that here. So I'm going to choose, and let me actually move myself out of the way. I'll put myself up by Toccoa up here. So a land, and we want to choose sum. So we want to sum up all the land. And then we're going to choose a water and also sum. It's going to ask you for a name, ask you where you want to save it. That all looks fine to me, what folder you want to save it. I'm not going to use current map extent. I want to do it for the whole layer. And go ahead and run analysis. Now, if you're going to do this on your local computer, you'd notice that it goes pretty quickly. On ArcGIS Online, I found these things tend to take a little bit longer, a minute or two sometimes. And so this is one of those points where we're just going to pause for a moment, and I'll come back when the analysis is done. All right, so now we're done. I'm going to go ahead and close this attribute table. And you'll see here we just have a bunch of polygons. If I turn this off, you'll see these are all the different areas that have been, we don't have them stylized at all, so they just look like one big polygon. But if we look at the attribute table, you'll see there's only 4 rows. And so you'll see, cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, cluster 4. We have how many tracts there were, 228, 446, 210, 67. And then the area, land area and water area of each one. And then it actually added an area in square kilometers here as well, which is basically the sum of these two things, you'll notice, put together. So, if we wanted to, we could do something like symbolize them. We might do this just to get the summary statistics in this case, but let's just say we want to do the cluster day variable. Give it a second. Let's do, we don't want to do counts and amounts. We want to do types, right? And we could do it like this. Options, let's do a different color scheme. Let's do something more like that. Okay. We want to flip that like that. There we go. That's not very pretty, but that will do. And so we can see those clusters this way. Now if we zoom in, it's just one big area. It's not the census tracts. If we put this here, we'd see all those little tract boundaries. It's pretty hard to see, but they are in fact there. Right, so you can see all those listed in this case. So that's just a quick walkthrough of how to do dissolves. If you wanted to export this in some way, we'd have to go back to our content. So let's do that. We'd find our dissolve day clusters. That's down here. And then we would export data to a CSV. This is all very complicated. We'll save it to the same thing, the Atlanta Heat Island, export. Takes a second, and then we would go back and download that CSV file. So now if I go to content, we will see it listed here as a CSV. And then I can download directly like that. and you'll see it show up here as a zip file, which then we'd have to open. But you get the idea. So it's not as much straightforward as it might be in other platforms, but that's how you do it in ArcGIS Online.